Burnout is not the first warning sign. Most leaders believe burnout is the first signal that something is wrong. It is not. Burnout is what shows up at the end of a long pattern. The first warning sign appears much earlier. Performance still looks strong. Deadlines are met. Revenue continues. Teams remain busy. Reports look steady. From the outside, everything appears stable. Inside the organization, something begins to shift. Strategic conversations grow shorter. Leaders move toward quick answers instead of thoughtful discussion. Long-term planning gets pushed aside because urgent work feels more important. Nothing breaks. No one resigns. There is no public crisis. Yet the quality of thinking begins to weaken. An organization can reach every goal while the strength behind those decisions slowly declines. That hidden stage is often ignored. Burnout is not the first warning sign. Reduced clarity is. When clarity declines, performance becomes effort-based instead of insight-based. Teams push harder to maintain the same results. More time is spent fixing problems that once required less attention. High performers carry the stage quietly. Responsibility increases, pressure builds, expectations expand, outward confidence remains steady. Internally, compression grows, creative thinking decreases, patience shortens, small frustrations appear more often, risk tolerance narrows, work continues, strength fades. Waiting for visible burnout means waiting too long. Early compression deserves attention. The REST framework addresses this stage before crisis begins. Recognize subtle changes in pace, tone, and depth. Notice when meetings feel rushed. Pay attention when thoughtful dialogue disappears. Explore where pressure is building. Examine workload distribution. Review shifting priorities. Ask whether timelines truly match capacity. Support structure before people collapse. Protect time for thinking. Reduce unnecessary meetings. Clarify roles so leaders are not carrying hidden weight. Take action while performance still appears stable. Adjust pacing, reset expectations, remove avoidable friction. Structural leadership prevents collapse. Clarity is a strategic asset. When clarity is strong, leaders evaluate options carefully. Decisions reflect long-term thinking. Collaboration feels focused and intentional. When clarity weakens, speed replaces depth. Agreement replaces analysis. Reaction replaces reflection. The shift feels productive. It is not. Consider a leadership team during rapid growth. Revenue increases, hiring expands, projects multiply, momentum feels exciting, calendars fill quickly, strategic sessions shrink, planning conversations become shorter. No one complains. Results continue, yet decision quality thins. Rework increases, miscommunication rises, small errors appear more often. Teams spend more time correcting than creating. Effort rises, strength falls, burnout arrives later, compression arrives first. The brain responds to sustained pressure by conserving energy. Exploration shortens. Complex ideas feel heavier. Simple answers feel safer. That response is natural. In leadership, it creates risk. Strong organizations protect mental space. Protected mental space leads to stronger judgment. Stronger judgment leads to stable performance. When leaders operate without mental margin, even capable teams narrow their focus to survival. Survival thinking cannot build long-term growth. Ask a few direct questions. Are strategic discussions postponed because there is no time? Have meetings become shorter but less effective? Are decisions made quickly but revisited later? Do leaders feel pressure to respond immediately instead of thinking fully? If effort increases while clarity declines, strain is building. That strain may not be visible yet. It will be. Communication tone also reveals compression. Interruptions increase. Listening decreases. Email language becomes sharper. Patience thins. The team notices. Fewer ideas are shared. Safe answers replace bold thinking. Energy shifts from innovation to maintenance. Engagement may appear stable. Depth quietly drops. Role clarity protects thinking. Ambiguous ownership creates constant small decisions. Those decisions drain attention. Leaders feel fatigue without understanding why. Clear ownership removes noise. Less noise creates space for thoughtful work. Initiative stacking creates additional risk. When too many projects launch at once, leaders move from task to task without reflection. Recovery time disappears. Momentum turns into constant pressure. Constant pressure narrows thinking. Short bursts of stress can sharpen focus. Long periods of compression weaken judgment. Sustainable leadership depends on pacing. Healthy organizations design structure intentionally. Major initiatives are spaced wisely. High demand cycles are followed by review. Expectations reflect staffing and resources. Reflection is scheduled. Without reflection, strain compounds. Without structure, clarity erodes. Measuring output alone is not enough. Decision quality must also be examined. How often are projects corrected after launch? How frequently are teams revisiting decisions that felt rushed? Has rework increased over recent months? These signals reveal more than revenue numbers. Stable performance requires stable thinking. Compression does not stay at the executive level. It moves downward through the organization. When senior leaders rush decisions, managers rush execution. When managers rush execution, teams rush delivery. The entire system begins operating on speed instead of strength. At first, output may increase. Over time, quality becomes unstable. Unstable quality creates tension. Tension creates defensiveness. Defensiveness reduces collaboration. Strong cultures depend on thoughtful alignment. When thinking narrows, alignment weakens. Innovation requires confidence. Confidence requires clarity. Clarity requires mental space. Without mental space, teams default to what feels safe. Safe decisions rarely create long-term advantage. Hiring becomes reactive instead of strategic. Promotions happen out of urgency instead of readiness. New initiatives launch before systems are stable. Each decision may seem justified in the moment. Together, they create instability. Sustainable leadership requires restraint. Restraint is discipline. It takes discipline to pause before responding. It takes discipline to delay a launch until structure is ready. It takes discipline to say no when capacity has been reached. That discipline protects clarity. Clarity protects performance. Performance protects reputation. Reputation protects opportunity. Burnout is visible. Reduced clarity is subtle. Subtle signals demand mature leadership. Mature leadership intervenes early. Recognition begins with observation. Notice shifts in depth, patience, and focus. Exploration examines structure honestly. Where has urgency replaced planning? Where has speed replaced thoughtful evaluation? Support aligns workload with capacity. Protect thinking time. Reduce unnecessary pressure. Action restores balance. Adjust timelines. Clarify priorities. Remove excess friction. Leadership is not only about driving outcomes. Leadership protects the conditions that allow outcomes to continue. Clarity supports revenue. Clarity supports retention. Clarity supports innovation. When clarity is preserved, productivity becomes sustainable. When clarity declines, productivity becomes fragile. Fragile productivity requires more effort to maintain. Increased effort eventually leads to visible burnout. Burnout signals that early warnings were missed. Reduced clarity is the first warning sign. Strong organizations detect it early. Resilient leaders act before crisis. Design determines durability. Thoughtful structure protects thinking. Thinking protects performance. Performance protects growth. Organizations that thrive long-term understand this sequence. They do not wait for collapse. They adjust before strain becomes visible. They value depth as much as speed. They treat clarity as infrastructure. Protect your clarity before you chase results. Everything else follows from that decision.